Hello and welcome to this LEGO Theme Park Disaster series, where today we're going to be carrying on with the medieval section. Now we have to add in this new medieval market village, which looks absolutely incredible, and of course it's all thrown on this table because I have just done a review and finished it with a comparison of course the Mountain Fortress. So all of this needs to be put back and placed for the first time. So with that being said, let's get to it. So of course, don't forget that this is a disaster series, which means it is never going to be that simple. Now, luckily, the Mountain Fortress can only go in one place, which is right against the back wall against the blue, and I think it looks really nice. From there, we are then going to basically work our way from the wall to see what this looks like, because this will be actually the first time it going over on to the base plates. The carousel will get put to the far back corner, because I think when the dragon and everything arrives for that, I think that would look really, really smart and clean. The He-Man castle is just there for spacing, so I don't put anything else there that shouldn't be going there. And I need to remember to put 2 tan base plates down for the sand castle. And I am wanting to expand this already. Yes, we have gone from a small display underneath to the whole top table after the Winter Village moved, and I knew this would happen the second I thought about getting the Lion Knight's castle. If I wanted the one thing, I have to backtrack everything else. So I want some of the other Bricklink Designer Program sets, which are castle based, and they are going to end up just where the Super Mario table is, because this Super Mario table has not got going. And I think if I move it and put it on the floor underneath the table, it will keep it much more simple and it would look just as good, which means we'll then have a really nice big display going down, and then it will basically wrap round in all pirates. So we're going to have all the piratey Ninjago bits and pieces around on that L shape, and then it's just going to go straight in to all of the medieval. And having the medieval on 2 levels, well, it either means we can start to create some sort of battles or the paths and all that kind of things. Don't forget, this is in a theme park setting, so we have got a couple of options with regards to, do we put a castle where this is, for example, all the base plates around, or the minifigures, another castle up here where they're facing each other and battling, or do we just keep it nice and simple with a walk around? It's going to stay simple to start with, but obviously that soon changes on a flick of a dime. I don't know what that is. Flick of a dime? Is it a dime? No, that's not the right saying. I'm not taking it out. But you know what I mean. It changes all the time. So it will change in a heartbeat, is what we'd say over in the UK. Now, I think these are going to have to move, and like I said, the carousel is going to need to be placed in that corner. So I think all I'm going to do is just basically pick this up, put this in the back corner. There's going to be nothing in front of it as such, so I am hoping I can just drag those 2 base plates out and put them here, pick this up and put that over on that bit, and then just put the 2 grey base plates down, and then that will free up the space for what we need. So fingers crossed, it shouldn't be too complex and too complicated. But of course, the base of this is absolutely knackered. So this will be rebuilt while all of the spacing and everything is happening within this section. But because the Lion Knight's castle is on a massive back order, and I don't actually have anything else for here, this will more than likely be the last upload for a while of the medieval bits and pieces. And of course, once it's in, unless I've got to pull it out to do a comparison and a review, it's then not going to move. And then as it starts to expand, then, well, of course, we can obviously make other bits and pieces up and put the paths down and all that kind of thing. So while it's all going to be under construction for a long time, these sets can basically live here, and we can just mess around and see what we can do. So I am very intrigued just to see what these 2 are going to look like on the base plates. Now, I haven't got the green base plates yet. Both these uploads are very, very close basically to being back to back. So I've done them in a couple of days away from each other, and I've just not ordered the base plates yet for the green. That is not what we want to happen. So yeah, we're just going to basically have to figure out what we want with what. How many greens do I want? Do I want green up here? Do I just want concrete in front of the Lion Knights? Because the concrete would make it more theme park-esque as such. So yeah, we have got quite a few options of what we could do, but for now I think we are just going to put that there in the corner, and then we will just reline all of those up, and then we will start to play the game of basically making it look half decent. I think to be honest, that is the best place to put the carousel, especially if there's going to be another castle going in front. Now, of course, this other castle can be facing forward, it can be facing this way, or we can have it facing that way, but it's not coming out for months. So for now, I get to fix it with an easy access through, and it's all right. So the next thing to go in will be the mountain fortress. Now it looks like I pushed all of them to the back, so I need to push that one back. And that's obviously how they work, so we will kind of figure out what we can do, because I know the wall is off. But once I've got the correct colour base plates down, I can clip them all together, and then I will not have to worry about these things moving at all, which would be good. And I also need to think of what we're going to do with the base plate in that corner, and what colour is that base plate going to be in the corner, because we have got quite a few things that we could potentially do with it, especially going over in there. So I'm just clearing up the table so I can actually get the mountain fortress off, because this is what I've got to do every single time I do like a review / comparison of things. You got to pull it all out and then just basically try and put it back, don't you? So, but I have got faith in this set, because I do think the base of this thing is extremely sturdy, and I'm not closing it at all. My only worry is that I'm going to knock the top off, but this should be the last time for a long time that this does move, he says. But yeah, we can. Oh, I thought I was going to drop it then. We can only hope, can't we? We can only hope. I'll just jinx myself. I have just. No, there we go. There we go. Repaired and fixed. Repaired and fixed. So. Let's get this pushed there. This thereabouts. Why have you come back undone? Why do I jinx myself in every one of these videos? Oh, it's sturdy, I've got all faith in it. Moved you 10, there we go. Right, so, as you know, probably from the last upload, if you watched it, I've got options with regards to how far this goes back. The nice thing is it is flush to that wall, which makes a big difference, especially when I spin down the light around on it. So it looks fantastic, I think. We can just got to figure out what we're going to do with this corner. Now, with how these 32 by 32s are, will end up putting something against that wall, and it will wrap round, so there will be a little bit more space like that. So I just had that there and brought this over like so. We have got 32 studs in the corner near enough, so I don't really think we can Right, I actually don't know what went wrong there. I'm having a lot of problems with this camera at the moment. I'm not too sure if it's the heat or if it is now just starting to get a little bit weird and wonderful. So what I was going to say, or what I was saying, I don't know where it cut off, what we can do in the corner. Now, what I was doing when it cut off is I've just pushed that all the way to the wall and brought it all the way over this way. So we have got 32 base plate in the corner. Now, I don't know if it would be a bit ambitious to have some of the market in the corner, then bring it forward. There is a new jousting set that I would like at some point. I think I'd have it as a jousting rather than the castle. I don't think I'd have that. I'd rather have all the big castles together, I think. And then the jousting would be pretty cool. Now, with how this is, and obviously with it being a theme park, I would like to do something with the water. So I don't know whether to have this as a 16 by 32 in white, and then a 16 by 32 in whatever the Lion Knights castle is going to go on. But I don't know, because the market's on green, I don't think I've got a choice but to put it on green. But from a theme park point of view, it makes sense being on grey. Unless what I do is put a load of the green base plates down, but put a wider grey path in, and the green has more trees in, because that would be exactly the same as what they've got at Legoland Malaysia. Huge open spaces, much wider than anything else that I've done anywhere else. So instead of it being sort of 6 to wide, it could be maybe 10. Big chunky width. And I might just go, I don't know whether to go for 1x2s or just solid grey or something, rather than a colour. Because at the Legoland parks, they've gone for like an old school, almost like a Roman cobble type path, which looked very sort of medieval-esque type. Which is weird with me saying Roman and medieval at the same time, but you know exactly what I'm trying to get at. It was that type of sort of cobbly floor that they put down. So rather than having a colour, I could have maybe a 1x2 in a separate colour, sort of dotted around. The other option is that I do use the factions of each castle. So as the path links around, so I've got the royal blue and the yellow, so I could use that as some of the path. And then I have got the Lion Knights colours. I have got the other colours as well. So I could have that, but again I don't know whether to have that just in the middle or stepped. So I have a little bit of colour in the middle and it more grey, or more colour in the middle and just grey on the outer edge. So that is another possibility that we could do. So I'm quite excited about this with regards to what we could do on here. And then my plan for the expansion is just going to be foresty trees and green, and have the more forest stuff in the forest. Basically, that's what the plan is. So I knew it was going to happen. The Legoland Windsor has a walkthrough, and that walkthrough is right outside the castle, and they do it as their Halloween area, they do it for their Christmas area, and they put different sections in it with the medieval theming around it. And I want to do the exact same thing, so I can put a couple of the sets on this table, the path just stays exactly the same, and it gets used as a picnic area, a walkway, and I can actually put a couple of Easter eggs in with some of the say for example Santa's sleigh and that kind of thing, and obviously the Halloween stuff and other bits and pieces that they do. And I think they use that area at every Legoland park around the world. They just do it at different places, because I think the castle gets used for lots of meet and greets and things like that. So I thought, well, if we're going to have the theme parky stuff up here again with this, we have got options then of expanding over to here to have like a almost like an abandoned looking Ferris wheel we could add in within the tree section, just something a little bit smaller. So yes, that I am looking forward to doing, and it just means it's only these two sets are the only two sets that need to be rehomed. I've been trying to do lots of other bits and pieces, and it's just not, it's really not working. But I know where it can go. Can't go there yet, but I know where it can go, and yeah, it'll look really good when it's done. So that'll just get put under where the Star Wars stuff's going to go, and it'll be safe and sound in there until that happens. Anyway, that is the future bits and pieces. But here, what are we going to do with these base plates just on this bit? Because, like I said, we have got options with stuff. Now, we are just going to be putting down, I think we're just going to have to put down what base plates I've got left, because I haven't really, well, I know I haven't got any of the right colours, but we need 3 more 32 by 32s. So if I use a blue, or these two sand. Now these two sand are going to be used for the other castle. So I'm going to have every castle open and allow 2 base plates. If that slides over to there, and then these two will just go here, and then these come back up and over onto this side, it then means I can redo the little diorama, which I will be having a play with once we have got these bits in. So line knights on those two, figure out what we're going to do in that corner, and then basically we're going to go from there. Now the big one, what does the big one look like in the corner? Because this is, I was about to say, this would be something that could work on the other table with the green stuff, with a foresty feel, because it is on green, and it would still allow me to keep the line knights on grey. But I think it would be better just having a bigger green into white section. I think. I've got a massive habit at the moment of pushing these sets right on the weakest point. Not the most cleverest of ideas I'm doing this, is it? Not the most cleverest of ideas. Okay, right, so He-Man goes over. Will this... Obviously it's on the wrong colour base plate, I know it is. Because the one thing I was thinking is, not that, every time, do I have this open like the others or not? Right, it does fit in that corner. We have got the tree. Comes with a lot of minifigures as well. It does come with a lot of stuff. So the white will just be kept for the white, obviously. I just don't know whether to leave that back corner for the jousting, and it's just the 2 factions jousting. And it is the Lion Knights entertainment in the corner. But you still see it, and that way it's smaller and it's meant. Because I said this in the review, they're surprisingly bigger than what I thought they were. Because it towers over that crane. Obviously the crane is massive, but it's quite a big. It's quite a big thing, that. But I think they need to be close, don't they? I think really they need to be. They need to be close, they need to be stepped. I think the tree needs to be sort of there, and it needs to be kept together more of as a set, because that way we can say there's a market about, rather than just being random buildings and a little bit of fascia. So to be honest, I can imagine that working with the Lion Knights castle behind it. Obviously with a bit more, with a bit better spacing, I can figure out if I want it straight stepped, or whether I have them side by side. To be honest, that looks quite clean like that. Oh, see, that does look quite clean. Absolutely no idea. Oh. Because that tree would probably go away. I think the tree is a bit Especially if it's trying to be a market, I would use the tree in the other section, but that scale's quite nice actually. It's not on the white. Lion Knights goes behind it. It still gives us 2 base plates of space here. We've got a nice bit of breathing space just behind it, and we still have got that base plate in the corner, and then that still then leaves us 4 base plates over here to do other little bits and pieces, and we'll have the bounty and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think they need to be the front of the table. They look like stepped. What do they look like if we had one? No. What I'm going to do, once I've moved them around, I'm then going to put the pieces back on, because it's just going to keep happening. I'm clearly too hot and grabbing things too much. That's better. That looks a little bit better. Visually, I think that looks much better. So then we can have something else here, something else in the corner. We've got the path in, path round, path off. Smaller bits and pieces in front. So for now, just to keep those everywhere, this can be, just as a little bit of theming, can be kept there. Got an odd thing with those, and obviously the second the minifigures, there are all these minifigures. So the second all of these get added, they'll start to add to it quite quickly, because we've got all sorts of small little bits and lathes and all that kind of thing that needs to be in. But realistically, these are going to be the smallest thing on this table, because if the next big castle is going to go here, I think the next one's probably going to have to go like that, but if it goes here, because I think the carousel is just too big to put in front. I think that's what I said last time, but until that Lion Knights castle is built, I'm not 100% sure. But what I want to now do, before I forget about it, is just put back some of, you're going to get the minifigures basically up and about, just so it looks like they are actually working on, these are the sections, and I'm going to try and keep them all tucked in and around here, I think, because this is where we're going to be working. This side isn't going to be touched. Said when we're doing it we'll probably condense it down, but I didn't think I was going to condense it down within 7 days. So I managed to get the this thing and this thing built in the same weekend. I didn't think it was too bad, to be honest. I thought I did quite well on that. I'm quite proud of myself. So I thought we managed to smash it out. So we are one big roller that can just be driving its way over in front of the He-Man. Is back up on there, I get that. And what can we do? What can we do? Because there's quite a few, quite cool actually, there's quite a few minifigures with all of the construction stuff. Actually quite nice to use and do. So putting this set in has actually made an amazing difference to be able to space the other stuff around it. So that's worked nicely in my favour, because I think that will have to go in front of the Lion Knights. I think we should have like that, for example, here, and then we'd have the person that's painting, which is this lady here, stood right in front of the Lion Knights castle while painting it, and obviously it'd be a nice little photo opportunity for anybody that's walking around the theme park, which would be good. And then we've got the lathe. These are the little bits and pieces which will just go straight behind the building. So you might not be able to see them, but people that are walking by can just see them as a little bit of theming, and they can just be kept just in a straight line, because I'm not going to put the path there, so that works. That works great. You can have you at the front. So we've got the goat. Goat's a cool looking thing. And we've got a couple of other, got the tax collector supposedly, so you could be stood grabbing some G's. You can be there. Got the wolf. You can be feeding the goat. You can be chilling out with the goat. Because of course there is this faction's castle coming. So that'd be another path that I could potentially use. Honestly, what am I doing? I'm grabbing everything far too viciously. Far too viciously, and then nearly drop you. That's a kind of... It's not gone well, this up though, let's be quite honest. Right, so we just need to put, in fact, I'm just going to leave you there. I'm just going to put these minifigures back where they basically were, so it just looks like it's a nice little bit of theming. And we had this chappie that was at the back will just be feeding the horse at the front. Still got all the curly whirly poop stuff dotted about. This one does come with a Lion Knights figure, so we could just put you there back before you get run. Just put it right in front of the steamroller. That's a great place for you to be placed. This little tow rag is with this Doris. She is be there. Struggling to grip. What do we have? Yes. You can go in the back as well, because of course I will eventually just get all of the correct minifigures about. So they're all in, apart from... Oh, actually, where is that one? Was it you at the front? I had one walking up the bridge. Yes, I think it was you. There we go. So we've got the queen, we've got the prisoner with the little turd. Oh no, this little one goes with here. This one's here, so we'll have you stepped on that. Have you stepped on the side? We'll have you close to the painter. Yeah, because I guess the advantage of stepping them is, if I wanted to, I don't think I do, is I could just have it turned. If I had it turned, does it, I don't know, does it look more of a, like a villagey thing? Does it give it its own area if it's kicked in? Or does it look better from the front? You guys are going to have to let me know, because I'll make that decision before I put the path. Down. I think it works like that. It works it with it being forward, which I can just put this path, whatever width this is, get that right to the stud there, and I use 64 studs in width for this display, and then we can just come round the front, keep the girth down the middle into the Lion Knights bit, and then yeah, we've got the dragon that's going to go on top of the carousel, so keep it in theming, and it should be all right. Now I've got a couple of pieces that I just need to put with the correct set, so I just need to get the instruction booklets out and figure out exactly where the pitchfork goes and the other bits and pieces, because I just mixed and matched everything up. I think that this weird looking thing that goes there. Right, you're with that. There's all the fruit and veg. So yeah, I think it's only a short and sweet upload. I just wanted to get it roughly placed. So that is the start, but we could have 3 white, 6 green, 4 sand and 2 grey, and obviously the two grey are for the hard standing for the actual theme park. We could have 3, 3, 3 and a 6. So again, 3 grey, 3 sand, 3 white, 6 green down the middle, because that does not work on grey at all. So because that doesn't work on it, this definitely will be green. These 6 will go down green. And no, I'm not going to nab them from the Jurassic Park bit. I really want to, but that'll have to wait. But yeah, I think to figure out what is going to happen in that corner is more than likely going to have to be a 16 by 32, and then we can just go into one colour or another, and then we will figure out what we're going to be doing with this bit. I'll have to get the base plates down, and we'll carry on with this section all the way to the front, because this is where the Star Wars starts and finishes, and then we'll be able to link the paths up, and then we'll go. There's a clear divide from one to another, which I think should work quite well, he says. But it's too hot. I'm just going to keep messing around and faffing around with it. I think I've got everything back, and I've just achieved what I wanted to do. No, I haven't got everything back. Now that was the one that was walking on my bridge. Well, you can go down the front then. There you go. Right, so that's every minifigure is now back with that. All of those minifigures are now back with this, minus a pitchfork, an axe, and a bow and arrow. So I've got to make sure they obviously go right into the right factions. Then it's all 100%, which is great. He-Man Castle can just stay there for now until the Lion Knights arrives. Lion Knights go straight into there. The under construction section will just stay under construction for these 6 base plates for a long time, and obviously I will mess around a little bit better with the diorama. But yes, that is a floating toilet, because well, you've all got to go somewhere. So guys, I think for a very quick one, until the Lion Knights Castle's here and I've got the base plates, there's no point me just pulling all of this out to put the base plates down, to pull it out again to put the Lion Knights Castle in. So this is how it's going to look now until the Lion Knights Castle arrives, and then we will change it to definitely 6 green in the middle, and I think that can just stay grey as hard standing with the 2 sand, and then we can figure out what we're going to do with these 6 at a later date. And then obviously it's just working out what's going to go in that corner. If the jousting fits there, and the jousting is only, say for example, 32 studs long, then obviously it can't go on white, I don't think. You could go where that blue base plate is, obviously, if it would fit there. And then I've really got to scratch my head with regards to what can go in that corner so it doesn't look lost. One thing I could potentially do, if I push the Lion Knights Castle all the way over and it kind of overstepped in, so it sort of came to like over here, so we had like a narrow walkway through, so I could potentially fit the small Ferris wheel in that corner, and you would just see it through the 2 castles, which would work fine because it's a nice looking thing, and it would mean there's like a little ride either end. But yeah, again, it's now all depending on that Lion Knights Castle, which is on back order for another, I think it's in the 6 weeks from now. So that should give me enough time to get this fixed. You know what's going to happen? I'm not even going to touch this, build the Lion Knights Castle, and be like, oh, I forgot to even do anything with it. So I've got plenty of other bits and pieces to get on with. I've got plenty of other sets to build, which is what I am going to start on tomorrow. So today is a new day and I've cut myself off. I do this every single time. As you can see, I'm actually still waking up. But this is what it looks like from over this side, because I always do that. I always film really, really tight to it, and then you don't really get the depth perspective of what it's starting to look like. And the second I turn the lights back on, coming back up the loft, you can now see much clearer from here, I think, just the plan of just all of the bits and pieces that are going to be on that table. And then, if, as and when the expansion happens, which is going to be sooner rather than later, and it's going to drop down onto the next bit, and then obviously it just wraps around into all the bits and pieces we've got over there, I think it should look really nice and really clean. But yes, that's where we got to. That's what we managed to do all yesterday with the crane facing that way. The actual carousel does work quite nicely from here, because depending on what way we have the castle, you're going to see the carousel from this side, even if it's blocked off from the front, because obviously this table is much lower, so you're always going to see that, even if we do try and hide it within the display and sort of do the same thing with the Ferris wheel potentially in the corner. There is some other ideas that I do have with other sets and things like that that I'd like to do. I have got all of the minifigures down here, which, yeah, they are in there. In that one? Yes. No, that one. Where this bag is full of medieval stuff. So we have got mini sets in there. You can see we've got all sorts of just bits and pieces. I've got a funny feeling I've got stuff in here that I completely forgot about. Prisons of the kings and that kind of thing. So yes, I had them when I was a kid, and I just need to tuck into that and see what's what. And of course, if I can get some of these built up at the same time as the Lion Knights goes in, then after all the correct base plates and stuff goes down, and it all gets done in one hit. But that's what we're aiming to do from here. At least you can now see it from this side, and I think the Mountain Fortress does look really nice up against that wall. And then those two stepped, I think, are the best thing to do, because from here, if they were side by side, I don't actually think you'd be able to see them. So for the second time, that is it, and I am done. So if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Again, let me know what you think with regards to what we're doing over here. Good idea to step it down onto this table and then wrap it round over here. I have got now some ideas if it, whoa, nearly dropped you, if it would fit by just moving this over by a base plate. There's plans, potential plans in place. If not, kind of want to figure out how what I can do to bridge this gap, which should be quite interesting, because it's not wide enough for another table. So I need to figure out what I can do with that and have a little bit of fun with it. So again, as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I hope we catch you next one.